Hello, my name is Natalie. I am a wife. I am a mother of 3 awesome children, ages 15, 19, and 20. I am a business professional, and I am also an ovarian cancer survivor. I was diagnosed in 2009 with stage 1C, serious borderline ovarian cancer. I am very fortunate. It is for the health and well-being of my daughter that I strongly want to raise awareness, for I want her to have the best possible chances, and if sharing my story helps others be more aware and the medical community be more proactive, then I can sleep better at night. In hindsight, I had symptoms for almost 2 years. To my OBGYN, I was complaining about urinating throughout the night. It started off 1 or 2 times in the middle of the night, then it progressed before my diagnosis to about 4 times a night. Tinkle, tinkle, tinkle all night long is how I refer to it. To my primary care physician, I was complaining about my inability to lose my kangaroo pouch. I was watching what I ate. I was on the treadmill 4 times a week for an hour. Nothing was helping. I was also complaining because I often felt bloated, and when I would eat, halfway through eating, I would be rubbing my stomach because I was just uncomfortable. But one day in 2009, in August, I was registering my daughter for middle school at lunchtime, and we were walking around from table to table, and I had to stop and grab onto something because I was having cramps that took my breath away. And that was unusual for me. I was not on my menstrual cycle. It was very odd. We went home, and about 3 hours later, I could not walk. I grabbed the phone. I don't know how I knew my OB's phone number by heart, but dialed it and talked to the nurse and said, something's wrong with my ovaries. And she kind of chuckled and said, Natalie, how do you know it's your ovaries? I said, I don't know. It's somewhere I can't make comfortable. I can't touch it. I can't get in a position to get the pain lessened. I just have this feeling. So she told me to come in, and they did a internal ultrasound and noticed a cyst. And because I had one when I was 19 that burst, they said, well, maybe this one will burst too on its own. So they gave me some pain pills, some muscle relaxers, and sent me home. It didn't burst. It didn't get better with the medicine, the pain relievers. And that second day, as soon as the office opened, I called them up and said, I want surgery. You need to get this out of me. Something's not right. And I could not have surgery with my OBGYN because he was out of the office, so I had to have a visit with his backup. So I went in the morning, and walking around that day, it felt like I had a sack of potatoes swinging around inside of me. It was very hard to walk. But I met him, had my consult, and we scheduled surgery that afternoon. When I woke up an hour and a half later than I should have, I concluded that something was wrong. The nurse and doctor came in and explained to me that they removed a grapefruit-sized tumor. Unfortunately, upon exiting, it did burst into my stomach cavity. But they said the tumor had twisted around the fallopian tube and thus suffocated that side, the left side, the ovary and the fallopian tube. So they removed that whole side. That surgery was on a Thursday. I was asked to come back Friday morning for results. I did, and when I was in the room, the doctor came in and he was looking at his papers, and he said, oh, I'm not sure about this. Hang on a second. And he went and reached to the phone behind him and called a lab, I presume, and talked to 3 different people asking them if they were sure about their results. And then he hung up the phone and he said to me, I'm not sure about the results, so could you come back at the end of the day? Okay. So we came back at the end of the day on Friday, and he said, I'm still not comfortable with the results. Can you come back on Monday? and he tried to reassure me that everything was fine. That was a very long weekend. To know that something probably isn't right, although they're telling you you're fine, and to have to wait 2 more days to come back and hopefully get an answer. It was a very hard weekend. So we did return on Monday, and he handed me a business card of a specialist, a gynecologic oncologist. He said, I'm sure everything will be fine, but I need you to see this specialist. He can give you more answers. So I went home and called them, and they were expecting my call and got me in the next day. And then I went to my computer and looked on the internet to see what was a gynecologic oncologist. And what I saw was pretty scary, what I was looking at. So I stopped and just tried to make it through the rest of the day till my appointment. When I got to my appointment, it seemed like a different world. The gynac was very kind, very compassionate. He had flip charts. He showed me what we were probably looking at, but because he did not do the surgery, he couldn't tell me for sure. He said I would need a second surgery that he would do to remove lymph nodes, omentum sampling, and to stage me. But unfortunately, he could not do that surgery for 5 weeks as I needed to heal and other factors. So 5 weeks. I will tell you, to know you have cancer but not know what stage you are at for 5 weeks, that was emotional and mental torture for me. I had 3 children. I have 3 children. At that time, they were just 7, 12, and 13. And although we were pretty open with them that I was having some health issues but didn't share much detail with them to not stress them out, I still needed to deal with the information. And so I literally cried every day in the shower, hoping that my family would not hear me. I had wondered if I would see my kids enter high school, college, learn how to drive, go on their first dates, graduate, get married, maybe I'd have grandchildren. All those things whirling around in my head, wondering if I would live to see that was torturesome. I can honestly say this is one of the 3 most scariest times of my life. And it was scary because it was something I couldn't control. So 5 weeks later, I have my second surgery, and that's when I was staged at 1C, which to my physician, my gynac, with the type of cancer I had, that was the cutoff point where I would not need any chemo. We created a 5-year plan to follow, including CA-125 tests, ultrasounds, CAT scans, every 3 to 6 months, and then as the years would progress, I could go to 9 months and yearly exams. I did not have many complications serious after my surgery, but I do suffer with lymphedema in my right leg, and my second surgery somehow knocked my hip out of place. So those are both issues that I deal with to this day. Early in 2013, I decided to train for my first 5K. I never ran. I was not a runner in school. I hated running the mile, but this was something I wanted to do. I was approaching being 40, so I decided to train to run at the Wisconsin Ovarian Cancer Alliance's annual walk in September. That summer, I was closing in on my conditioning, and I started to feel symptomatic again. Once you're diagnosed and you're keen on the major symptoms, you just know. I was having to go to the bathroom at night again. I was getting that bloating feeling when I ate. But I decided to hold off on any testing till after I ran my race. And I did. And my CA-125 count did jump up dramatically, but it was still technically in the normal range. And at that time, we decided to do a complete hysterectomy. Because I was under 40 when I was diagnosed, although I was told them I was done having children, my physicians and my insurance company would not approve me having a hysterectomy at that time. But now that I was 40, we did proceed with the hysterectomy. That surgery went well, and right afterwards my CA-125 count dropped back down to where it normally was. And I have remained, for the most part, in good standing since then. At the end of 2013, I finally did qualify for the BRCA testing. Before then, I went through many consults, but they would not approve me because I did not have enough female family members to warrant the testing. But I did have it at the end of 2013, and I was negative. I would like to add here that 4 years prior to my diagnosis, I was put on potassium supplements because my potassium levels were low. And it's fairly common knowledge among most people that if you urinate all the time, you lose potassium. So 6 months after my diagnosis, I asked to have my potassium levels drawn, and they took me off the potassium, and then they tested them again, and they were normal, so I was able to go off potassium pills. Also, after my diagnosis, I was also diagnosed with Pcos, Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome, and that is something we keep a watch on because my daughter is following my same hormonal pattern, but 12 years earlier than I. Again, another reason why I like to share my story to help raise awareness so things would be better for her. Also, my grandfather on my mother's side was diagnosed with colon cancer at age 40, which is very young, and colon cancer often is related with ovarian cancer. In closing, the past couple of years, I have lost several lovely, inspiring ladies that I met through WOCA and through Survivors Teaching Students, this program, and became friends with. It's always real to me how fortunate I am. It's always real to me how important it is for me to use my current health, my current strength, to be that voice spreading awareness for those ladies, friends of mine, who may not have the strength anymore to share their story, or who are no longer here to share their story. So I hope you've paid attention. I hope you've learned some things, and I hope that I've put a face to this disease, and that the next time you hear a patient, a friend, a family member who has some symptoms, that you encourage them to see a doctor, that you may refer them to a specialist or do some very invasive testing to help catch their possible disease earlier. Thank you.